The other thing I think that troubles people, and when I say it's forced, is that this was off brand for Bud Light.
How about forced is finishing this fucking thing?
And branding. Hello, welcome back to the Friends of Zeus podcast. This is episode 115. Tonight we are going to talk about one of the bigger figures in the news right now, relatively big, one Dylan Mulvaney. For those of you that don't know who Dylan Mulvaney is, which I doubt there's anybody that doesn't, Dylan Mulvaney is a transgender male to female, who over the last year did 365 days. And interestingly, as a girl at first, and then started changing it to a woman. 365 days as a woman. Mm-hmm. Recently, she got a endorsement from Bud Light. And this is the one that stands out, but she's also got endorsements from Nike for sports bras, and Oil of Olay, I believe, is another one, and a few. I wish we could get one of these endorsements.
I know. I should do 365 days of being a dude.
Yeah, 365 days of trying to get this show out there. But tonight we have one of my very good friends, and I wish I was telling him today, when are we going to work together again? This is Dr. Sumit Anand. I worked with him at a state-run mental hospital. And we just hit it off from go. And I wanted to get because I know Dr. Anand's only got limited time with us. You will be back next week for our other episode, but
yes.
Cool. But I just wanted to get your spin on, I guess I don't want to call it a fad because that diminishes it a little, but this recent influx of the whole non-binary, transgender situation, yeah. Maybe from your medical perspective, because you and I have dealt with the one person we were talking about earlier. You know who I'm talking about. I won't say their name for reasons, but that was a great example of like where this can go. And I feel like in a lot of these cases, there's generally a coexistence of some mental disorder. Not saying that everybody that does this is mentally unstable. I think I have run across one or two patients where I'm like, you should totally be a girl or you should totally be a guy. And I get it in those cases, but I think it's very, very isolated. And I feel like, as you were saying earlier, that social media has a rapid or has sped this up where it would normally be a paradigm shift. Now it's like a paradigm second.
For all the Fozzies out there, let's back up Zeus. Dr. Anand he's an actual doctor. He's like a psychiatrist. Like he's not just, I'm
a medical doctor, yes.
Yes.
I'm a medical doctor, and I trained in England. I trained here, and I've got about a total of 30 years now experience. 20 years here, 10 years in England.
So he knows what he's talking about.
So tell us your spin on it, doctor.
I mean, we're all overwhelmed nowadays by the sheer speed of things, right? I mean, I too, right? Because all these words are flying all over the place: transgender, non-binary, he, she, her at the end of people's emails. It's like, what is this kind of thing, right? Coming at, the general public, as it were, because I understand that for some individuals, that gender and their sex and their name and their, identity is all wrapped up in one. All I can say is, I agree with you. I don't think, everybody who this is mentally disordered. You can't make such generalization, but it is interesting because I am, seeing the trickle down effect, at least into the adolescent population, and that worries me. because we know that adolescence is, and again, this is not mental disorder, this is just normal development.
Right.
Adolescence is a time of change, right? My own daughter had purple hair for 3 weeks and I loved it, but then she gave up on it 3 weeks later. You know what I mean? What happened to the purple hair? I don't know. I don't like it anymore, kind of thing. And that's okay. That's part of the concept without getting too geeky about it. That's part of the concept of what we call identity diffusion, where you love something 1 minute, you hate something else, you get obsessed with a band, or you want to belong to this group. And so it's part of forming your identity because let's face it, we were all there and we were all lost at that age and we were all trying to find our way. And there's a emotional instability. Obviously an identity is amorphous. That is, that is time immemorial, right? I mean, we all went through it. I think it's getting conflated, at least in that age. And I wonder, I mean, obviously she's 26, this influencer. I don't even know her name. What's her name again?
Dylan Mulvaney.
Dylan is 26. So, you would think that somebody in their mid-20s, their identity is a bit more coalesced, right? But what I'm seeing, at least in my clinical experience, is this trickle-down effect in adolescence. And that worries me because really everything's up for grabs in adolescence. In other words, you could be anything. And I don't really I wouldn't say it seriously. What I'm saying is I don't put too much sway into their identity and the binary and non-binary. At that point, I let them be who they want to be because they're experimenting, right? And so for those kind of individuals who are on a developmental track, I wonder if there's obviously amongst the population of adolescents, and maybe because of social media, because making them all so emotionally fragile and wanting to belong to this and join this group and all that, over-identifying with things, which is again part of their nature, is whether that's getting conflated, right?
Well, and if I may, I'm sorry for interrupting. It's kind of a path of least resistance thing. Like, this is a group that is willing to accept as many members as they can to ally themselves with you. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's great groups out there. There's bad groups out there. I wouldn't call this necessarily a bad group, but what I would say is that they're willing to take people on. And at a point, it's kind of like in sales. If you hit that group that's going to buy what you're selling, you're going to sell like a maniac until that group goes away. And I feel like that might be a little part of this is
yes, absolutely. I mean, think about social media, who the most use it the most. It's not people your my age so much. It's people 30 years our junior. I mean, in their 20s, they are, electronically much more literate than we'll ever be at this point, right? Mm-hmm. And they know the Instagrams and they know who to follow and they know the trends and they are unfortunately also, because of that age, very suggestible.
Yep.
Because they're fluid. They are fluid. Their personality is fluid. It's gelling, but it's still fluid. So you wonder, with the influence of the speed of this thing, with the social media and the influencers, and they make lots of money and then they become famous because we talk about them and they're on the media and, you can see why this grows. The question is it a good or bad thing that this is growing and attracting people of this age group, into this discussion when really there's so much else, other things in their lives that are literally unsorted, evolving, growing, changing, their choice of college, their choice of boyfriend, their value systems, everything. I mean, you're throwing it all shebang into the same pot. And you wonder what the unintended consequences of that will be.
Yeah. I mean, I was joking with Dr. Anand earlier. I've said it on the show before, but it's like when I was a kid, like if I wanted to be exposed to, pictures of a naked woman, we had to work. We had to go out into the woods, find the shed, uncover the stack of Playboys.
He loves this story.
But I mean, we all have a story, if not exactly that, something similar to it.
The discovery of pornography or nakedness and sexuality and the new toy and all that. And that was a discovery. Yeah. Now it's in your face.
Adventure and there was work involved in it. And now everything is just there. We are a McDonald's fast food society. Give it to me now. Ask a kid what an encyclopedia is right now. They'd be like, I don't know what that is. And we used to all of our
have a set in your house.
Encyclopedias. Huh?
Have the set in your house, you know? Buy the set.
It's just I don't have a problem with the whole transitioning non-binary thing. I have a problem with the promotion of it. There's nothing organic anymore. Nothing feels like it just happened to you. Like I talk to patients all the time, and every once in a while I'll get a mood patient where they're down and all this, and I'll be like, your thing, like I read their story, and I'll be like, you know what, your thing, I don't know that you're going to be necessarily chronically depressed. I think life just happened to you. And sometimes life happening to you is bad, but in a lot of cases, life happening to you is a really good thing. Getting into a fight and getting clocked once. I think every kid should get their ass beat once. You know what I mean?
Bullying.
You know, not bullying, but you're
talking about limit setting. You're talking about hierarchy and knowing your place and all that stuff. I mean, the way the real world works.
Striving to move forward. You have to be beat down, or else you don't know what striving to move forward is. And if you don't have that drive, where are you going to be? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Doctor.
No. I think I agree with all that. I mean, that's the kind of layer that is confusing everything. It's muddying things up. It's clouding up the actual issues involved. If people are having, like, think about, okay, let's extrapolate this to the 20s. Let's say your identity is formed and you want to be non-binary, or you want to be transgender, or believe me, even the terminology is confusing to me now. We have a term called gender dysphoria, that has been given as a diagnosis, which is actually quite apt because it talks about basically the distress that is caused by being in such a state. And that is, something we want to help with, because our job as psychiatrists, I know it feels, again, a bit hijacked by labels and bipolars and all this stuff. I hate the number of labels now is just ridiculous. But our original aim is to help people become functional. And so the criteria for disorder was changed to either subjective distress or impairment in your functioning. If that's happening to you, and it's happening to many people, who are undergoing this kind of transition, then you need help with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think we can help with that. Sometimes it's a metaphor, though, right? For what's happening underneath. As you said, you alluded to that earlier. They could be going through, a paradigm shift in their own value system. That's not abnormal. It could be because, as you said, life's happening to them. It could be a genuine depressive disorder where they're looking at things definitely very different and they hate the way they are. But you don't want to make a snapshot of that and say that's what it is.
That's what the future is going to be.
Make sure that, they're not laboring under a depression or, I don't think a manic episode, but, you could, at a stretch, if you were extremely manic, you're open to anything kind of thing. And so you want to be able to make sure that, yes, there is an inherent stability to their mood, because our mood affects our thinking, which affects our choices. It affects the way we relate to ourselves. If we're feeling shitty about ourselves, we might hate our gender, our assigned gender. I mean, it's quite possible.
I hate my assigned gender about once a month. It sucks.
Right. But interestingly, I mean, we maybe, again, all your experiences, we had to accept certain things the way they are. And we had to kind of reconcile ourselves to that and adapt to that. Because adaptability is a sign of our health, right? That no matter where you put us.
That's the thing. This is, I heard, I'm sorry again for interrupting. I do it all the time, so I'm not even going to say I hate it.
That's fine.
If you had 90 men and 10 women and you put them on an island and you came back like 5 years later, there'd be a population that was thriving. If you had 90 men identifying as men and 10 transgender male to females, and you put them on an island and you came back 5 years later, it'd be carcasses. there is a defining difference between men and women, and it's not. This is all fine. It seems as though there's a mockery of women that goes on with this. That is actually one of the things that bothers me the most. Like with the Leah, what's the swimmer?
Leah Thompson.
Leah Thompson.
Who dat?
Mediocre in regular men's swimming, killing them in female swimming. And she goes into their locker room. It's just, I mean, like, unfair is such a low level term for it, but it's just unfair. Women have worked very hard
to get where we are today
in society now, and it diminishes the work that they did to get here. Susan B. Anthony would be rolling in her grave right now if she was at all privy to this. There's a Rosa Parks, a million women that really, really just took womanhood to another level. And then some guy, like, we already have a sport where generally women's sports are, and I'm being very broad with this, but generally women's sports are not nearly as entertaining to society as men's sports are. And then you're going to have men come in and take that over just because they say, I feel like a woman. You know, I don't know. I do sympathize with the movement.
I had one quick question, Doctor, because I know you're not going to be able to be here with us for the whole episode, but my question is, look, I didn't see a lot of this growing up, right? And from a percentage standpoint, and when you look at statistics, there's a lot of social contagion involved with this, in that, well, you will have certain schools where 1/3, this is not an exaggeration, you have certain high schools where 1/3 of the population of that school is identifying as transgender, right? And yet a school down the street in a different socioeconomic area doesn't, right? So why is it so I'm just saying, this points to a social contagion. So there's some people out there that'll say, well, listen, Michael, that's because always been that way, but there were so many disincentives that people hid it. And that if you are agreeable, then this is just the natural outlay of that. Again, I don't know if I really, I don't think.
No,
it's
a bit like the overdiagnosis of everything. You know, it's the overdiagnosis of ADHD, bipolar. It's like, again, whatever becomes, and again, for want of a better term, a fad. You have one people fervently arguing that, look, this was always in the closet. We've got to make sure that people feel validated, you know, and I think it's, again, a cover for, you know, people seeking an identity, a belonging, right? That's why I think that younger people are more susceptible to this, because they're vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
I would like to see how many people come out transgender 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus, you know.
And
Caitlyn
again,
Jenner.
I'm sorry?
Caitlyn Jenner. How old was she?
Just saying,
Right, that's what I'm saying. You have, it's not it doesn't occur. The people who've suffered all their lives. But yes, to your point, Michael, I mean, 1/3 of a school, I mean, on its face, it does seem absurd. It does seem absurd. And you know, to do with definitions, I think its definitions are all over the map. I know this. Go ahead.
I'm saying you're going back just 20 years. The majority of people who identified as transgender and who were seeking surgery were biological males in their 20s. And now that statistic is females, many
in their teens.
In their teens and young teens. And yes, I don't really, it's one of these things, I'm always suspect where if I have an issue with something and I'm like, I don't know if I fully get, and it's like, oh, you're a transphobe. Like when people go right to that, that's where I'm like, you just don't want to talk about it. Like, I mean, obviously, my whole thing, my issue is I don't have an issue with someone saying like, look, I feel like I was born in the wrong body. I have compassion for people like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
My issue is I feel like this is being promoted.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember when I was a teenager and a prepubescent person or whatever. I mean, I played with dolls. I did stuff that someone may think was feminine or girls. I've always been attracted to like tomboys, whatever. I mean, it's to me, it's dulling the beauty of the variety of people. I mean, you have people that are male and who they may be more effeminate than hyper masculine. You have females that are more effeminate than masculine. Some are more masculine. I feel like this whole discussion puts the kibosh on that.
I agree. I mean, even within your identity, we're several people, and several personas that have to be explored in your lifetime. Your feminine side, we talk about, your masculine side, your animus and anima and all that, So as Jung talked about, right? So there's a wide variation. What troubles me, like I said, because of this explosion with social media, is they haven't defined anything. It's just there.
No, they changed definitions.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the place. I mean, so it's all over the place at a time when and it's in your face as well. All over the place, in your face, to the wrong kind of age group, as it were, who's extremely suggestible to that.
Yeah.
Because that's exploiting a vulnerability, arguably.
And it's incentivized.
You've got to figure out your life. You've got to figure out who you are in your teens and 20s. I don't want to sound conservative about this, but I think that a lot of I think I've got one friend, I think, abroad who does surgeries like this, and he wants a psychiatric assessment. There's another friend of mine who does
and it should be like that.
You know what I mean?
It used to be required here. It used to be required that you had to have a psychological assessment before you could have a sex change. Here's an interesting thing.
Hold on, pause, Zeus. Did you just say that he requires the assessment even for like a nose job?
Well, there was a guy, one of my friends in London. It says because there's something called body dysmorphic disorder, which is imagined ugliness, whereby you think your nose is bigger than it actually is, or it's ugly, or it's shameful, and it's these are the kind of patients who have turned out to be bad patients from the surgeon's perspective, because if they're so perfectionistic, bad job, he screwed it up. No, it was supposed to be this way. He says, look, I want to explain to them and have a balanced understanding of what surgery involves, and you've got to be able to tolerate risk. But interestingly, this ties to Zeus's conversations and mine this afternoon, is that we find in such personalities, when we do encounter them, at least from our clinical perspective, a lot of perfectionism, which is about control, which is about holding on to something. So there's more to this story than just, I'm transgender, right? If you begin to scratch beneath the surface, and then we have to know what that story is, and not let it be dictated by the influencers who are.
But doctor, the problem is, not only the influencers on children and on culture as a whole, but it seems like what came first, the chicken or the egg, when it comes to this kind of, prolific social contagion, because like you mentioned, it used to be called sexual, dysmorphia. I think it used to be called sexual identity disorder back in the day. And at some point, the medical community, it seems like they latched onto this as a cure rather than as a problem that should be treated with therapy. Like, I mean, now there are therapists that are recommending to like little Tommy, who's 11 years old, maybe it's time we go to puberty blockers. Let me send you to the doctor down the street. I mean, like, that's happening. And so,
terrible.
And it just seems like once the medical profession gets behind it, and if a therapist tells me, well, would you rather have a son that's a girl or a dead son? And then he cites all the suicides. No, but they say, parents have said that that's happening.
Yeah, and people do out of that fear. Yes.
from a social contagion pinpoint, I find it interesting. I'm just thinking of 3 movies that stand out: Dog Day Afternoon, Fisher King, and The Crying Game.
Wow.
All about transgender, or I think Dog Day Afternoon was transgender, right, Jack? You'd know.
Yeah, the boyfriend of Al Pacino liked to dress up
transgender.
like, yes.
So 3 movies. What do they all have in common? They all got the Oscar. we're not anti.
Of course not. Not as a
No,
society.
but my point being is the Oscar is a highly held accolade, and they are 3 amazing movies. All 3 of them.
Maybe that's why they won, though. You know what I mean? Like, they're good movies.
But key characters in the movie were bare minimum positioning. And I think that says a lot for like all these accusations that if you don't necessarily subscribe 100% to a movement, then you are anti that movement. Great. And I simply am not. The doctor's worked with me for years. Like, you guys know all my issues that I'm going on with. And when I told him what I was going on, he was like, that's absurd. You know what I mean?
I don't think you're coming off as anti-trans. Like, you and the doctor broke down this whole discussion into 3 phases. And I wouldn't say you came off as anti-people's right to.
No. I'm more talking about other issues that you guys know about. Eventually, I'll probably talk about it on the show. But like,
okay,
I tend to, at this point in my time, I tend to try and temper what I'm saying. Like, I have much firmer beliefs on this, and they're not necessarily negative. But I think that's interesting. And that's over what, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Those 3 movies. We are not, as a society, anti-trans. We're anti-indoctrination of behaviors that are detrimental to our forward progress. Again, when I mentioned the paradigm shift and then I said a paradigm second, it's like, if this were to go on over the next 30 years, slowly and more casually, I don't think anybody would have a problem with it. I think that most people would be like, okay, because it would be the group that's doing it, and they would prosper, thrive, whatever. And we might even learn things about ourselves from this group. But now people are like requesting cat litter pans because they're in their classroom because the child identifies as a cat. It's like,
to quote Jeffree Star, this is extra.
I feel
extra.
I feel like we're in a Dolly painting.
Well, also, there's a big difference between me accepting someone into my community who likes to dress up as the opposite sex, or maybe has taken surgical steps to complete this identity that they've longed for, which I still think is a psychological issue, but whatever. Mm-hmm. The problem, Zeus, is that now they seem to be suggesting to very suggestible young people, I mean really young, hey, it's okay if you feel this way. And then you tell the little kid this, and the little kid's thinking, well, I have all these questions and problems in my life. Like the doctor said, maybe this is the solution.
Well, that's the age of what we call emotional reasoning. Because I feel a certain way, it's got to be that way.
Right.
Like I feel like I'm having a shitty day, then I'm having a shitty day. Right? I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, that's the oldest thinking error in the book. That people have made very bad decisions from those kind of emotional reasoning, right?
Also, they're little kids. They're little kids, too.
And look at their emotional bandwidth all over the map. So it is exploitative. It's unfair, and it could be doing more harm than good downstream.
Yeah,
because part of defining yourself is also dealing with the frustrations of what life can't give you, right? Because you have to learn to work with life as is. I mean, psychologists talk about the concept of radical acceptance, right? In other words, life has its limitations. Let's work with it, because guess what? It imposes it on all of us. Like, not everybody can get exactly what they want, either because of money or this or that.
And they don't know what they want.
Exactly.
This is just the thing that they can attach to. My kids, my 6-year-old, he doesn't define boy or girl. He's just having fun with whoever he's playing with. He plays with Michael's daughter all the time. There's no like, well, you're a girl in this and you're a boy in that. They just play. And now we're telling them that if my son has a Barbie doll and for a week he's playing with that suddenly I have to investigate where his social radar is at.
Right.
And
it's even
just
more,
not that simple.
It's even more than that. Like, even if your son is like, man, I'm thinking this.
I want to grow my hair out. I don't know.
Yeah, or something like that. I mean, even if they're feeling that way, my whole thing is the language of this is very propagandistic. Like, the whole term gender affirming care or gender affirming surgery. I'm like, I don't know.
How about gender consideration?
I'm just saying, I've been to many doctors in my life. I've been to psychiatrists and stuff. I've never had like Michael affirming.
You feel like a Mike? What is a Mike?
He eats cereal that's shaped like Chex Mix. That's a Mike.
I'm saying if you're going to the doctor, you're looking for help. Like, what's this affirming? Like, why do I need a doctor? Right? I mean, and again, the whole thing is, I mean, this is a whole other topic, but a lot of stuff in our culture now really elevates this victim mentality. And this whole idea of being transgender, if you're like 12 and you're questioning a lot of stuff or whatever, it's incentivized, right? I mean, it's like if you want to go again, if you want to piss your parents off,
that'll piss me off.
In 2023, this is what you go to. But again, this whole thing, I love being lectured to by 20-somethings that act like I have no memory of when I was growing up. And when I was growing up, there were definitely times where it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, you have different feelings when you're growing up as a kid, and where you're like, man, I love this little girl, or maybe you have a dream about your friend that's a boy or whatever. What, I don't even know, man. Like when you're like, but to take this whole thing of being like, oh, that means bah, 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 and here's a path you're gonna follow. It's like, you know what? A lot of it is just being an adolescent.
Well, and a lot of it is
like you just got to figure it out yourself.
A lot of it is catastrophizing. Is that a word? I think I just made up.
Actually, it is.
But it's catastrophizing situations that are far more benign than that.
Yes,
and I think that a big problem with this, and back to the doctor's statement on social media, is that when we were kids, if we were confused about something, we went out and we were like, I think I like flowers, and somebody would punch us in the mouth and we'd be like, you know what? I don't like flowers, or we go, I still like flowers. Not that that's male or female, but what I'm saying is that now you go on a website because you like flowers, and somebody's like, join us. and they I'm not even saying that their intent is necessarily
join the splinter group. Yes.
It's not that it's sinister. It's that, oh my gosh, I can help this person. And they create a problem that really wasn't there because it just happened yesterday.
Well, again, we said so much.
Yeah.
I'm going to sign off. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you.
I'll see you in the next episode. Certainly.
Absolutely. You're welcome on anytime, Doctor. I got a few ideas.
Take care.
Thanks, Bob.
So let's just all kind of regroup for a second. Let's back up. Dylan Mulvaney. This is what happened. I'm sure everyone out there in Vozland knows, but just to recap, Dylan Mulvaney, transgender influencer, did a video series on TikTok, Instagram, video documenting her transition into a girl or woman, whatever term you want to use. And it was like every day she made a video. It was like, this is what I've experienced today. This is my favorite thing today, blah, 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 blah. And did it for 365 days. And at day 365, Bud Light sent her a case of beer with her face on it, or herself on it. And they didn't. That's not for sale. That was just the one case of beer that they sent to her. Just like you can go to the M&M store and get your face on some M&Ms. It's just like that.
Really?
Yeah, you can do that. I don't know if you
With
can do that.
nuts or without nuts.
I think that you have to do it online. You can't do it at the store. But yeah, you can get your face printed on a fucking M&M. Anyway, so then she also did a promotion, like a social media promotion with them about it was like a March Madness promotion with Bud Light, talking about how the sweepstakes and March Madness and whatever. And so then that moved into Bud Light creating and putting out the transgender cans with the rainbow and the phrases on it, and then the bottle that's like a rainbow. And now and it's like kind of, Bud Light's losing money. Then there's all this backlash on social media, people shooting at beer cans, throwing them over Bud Lights, like Bud Light
Kid Rock.
Bud Light tastes like shit, which Bud Light does taste like shit. So that's always been a fact. Right. But now
did she get paid
there's been
anything?
Yeah, there's been bomb threats to the Anheuser Busch plants, and 2 of the VPs of marketing have been put on leave for whatever reason, voluntary, involuntary. We don't really know at this point. Yeah, she was paid. I don't know how much. Probably a lot.
So it wasn't just like a gift, a random.
No,
gift.
it was
They gifted her that thing. They gifted her the thing, and then there was also a endorsement, sponsorships, paid sponsorship. Yeah.
I think. I mean, honestly, and again, it just gets so volatile. But to me, this has nothing to do with Dylan Mulvaney. The thing that and Zeus isn't here right now, but the thing that grinded my gears was, or I don't know if Tom has that slide, but the thing that grinded my gears was the idea that there's these marketing people at InBev or Anheuser Busch or whoever the parent company is trying to shoehorn this thing and force this thing onto their client, their customers, and virtue signal. I mean, to me, it was like so manipulative and so like, give me a freaking break, man.
Is that how you saw it? Like
yeah,
you think it was okay?
That's what it was. So lame. It was like,
and we're part of the movement. That's what it was. We're part
of the movement. And I'm like, you know what? Well, then I'm just gonna check out of that. I'm not that I'm a Budweiser client anyway, but it just seems so cheesy, dude. I mean, it was like, I don't know. It was like, it was just horrible. It was just cheesy.
So you're saying that maybe that one of the reasons for the whole boycott was because like the backlash of we don't want this pushed down our throats. This whole is that you think? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, but also everything we talked about as far as this being hoisted on a very young generation of our children. I mean, that's a big part of it too, because you got to think
Bud Light's for those who are 21 and over, so kind of.
I know that, but the message is being promoted, and that's what people don't want if they have kids and they're worried about it. But then also think about the Bud Light drinker. It's a lot of like,
it ain't a trans. It ain't
straight dudes, and a lot of them still aren't really ready to drink the gay endorsed beer, maybe, and maybe they just don't think that the beer should be political or some ideological statement, and so they're like, screw, I'll drink Miller instead. You know what I mean? Like, whatever.
I mean, they totally dismissed that entire group of the customers.
Well, they're your customers, so
because the ad exec came out and said, we don't like what we are. Everybody's fratty. We want to move away from that. It's bad humor. It just completely dismissed everybody.
Yeah,
I mean that's
like read the room, but that's your customers.
Yeah,
that's who's been drinking your shitty beer for all these years. So might as well keep.
Now you chase them away. So okay, who's drinking it now?
These shitty guys, Michael and Zeus over here, drinking the nasty ass beer.
No, they support the ideology. They're all on board.
I think the other thing is, for me personally, it's the whole like DEI.
It really is an awful beer.
I'm a Coors girl too, Tom.
It's the whole DEI thing of look in the C level of management at Anheuser Busch. This was also considered a good idea because we have like BlackRock and all these companies that they're getting these DEI scores right? Or ESG. And this was viewed as like, okay, this will help us on that too. And it's so forced. It's like when you go to a movie and the movie is so like trying to make you cry, right? Or it's like you can tell they're trying to manipulate you. And it's just, I mean, for me personally, I just immediately go like,
you shut down.
I shut down. And this was so manipulative. It was so egregiously manipulative. And I'm like, I just can't. I got to pull the ripcord on this. I can't play along with this game. So I think that's where the backlash is coming from. People don't want to be the fool.
And I will
People
say,
don't
like
being played.
We made our little jokes, but I mean, they had to be made. But like Kid Rock had a response video where he's like shooting cases with like an M16.
So bizarre. Yeah.
It's a little, I mean,
Little
I don't want it to go to that level. That's
But he's
like
expressing himself.
Yeah, but man, we're talking about impressionable kids, and they're just as likely
shooting shit with beer. I mean, it's just like shooting beer cans and BB gun. You know, setting them off the fence. Boop, boop. I mean, I don't think there was anything.
No, he said
for
"fuck
that.
you, Anheuser Busch" right afterwards.
Yeah, well, fuck you, Anheuser Busch.
It was heartfelt. Like you could. I mean, it's not like he waited a few days. It was like the next day.
And I get his point. I don't think he delivered it that greatly, but I mean, Kid Rock. Let's be honest, he's always been
Kid Rock.
You know, but that was on brand for him. The other thing I think that troubles people, and when I say it's forced, is that this was off brand for Bud Light.
How about Forrest is finishing this fucking thing?
And branding,
it's horrible.
Branding. I mean, people buy things like, you know, Trump. Okay, Trump. People are like, oh, he owns all these hotels. No, he doesn't. He lends out his name to be used on hotels that are owned by other people. He licenses things. So, you know, when you have you like Bud Light. Oh, I like drinking Bud Light. It's because you're buying into the image that they're advertising. You're buying into the Real Men of Genius. You're buying into the Spuds McKenzie. You're buying into like
the Clydesdales and the
real
American.
I'm not a craft beer guy. I'm a real American.
It's funny you mentioned the Clydesdales because like this week Bud Light came out with like a whole new commercial, and it's all like Clydesdales and guys giving bro hugs.
No, it's all pro America too. It's like they're very patriotic. And
it's so offensive to my own personal view of my intelligence. It's like, you think I don't see?
I know
this.
I'm just saying, from a branding standpoint, you anyone that has any idea about marketing, and I'm no marketing guru, but you've been selling this, you've been marketing it and branding it this way for decades, and now it's like, man, I love drinking Bud Light, right? And now I'm like, I'm drinking Bud Light, and it's like, oh man, that dude that is a guy that pretends he's a little girl, he likes Bud Light too. I'm like, I don't know if I like Bud Light anymore. You know what I mean? That's what happened. It's not a mystery. I mean, it was branding. They branded it one way. People buy into it.
And the worst part about it is their branding for like 20 years was genius. It was like the Frogs. It was Real Men of Genius.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real Men of Genius.
Making men out, by the way, to look like idiots.
Right.
Those are good campaigns. They're funny.
Right. They were hilarious, but this is just, it's such a, like, again, it comes down to that paradigm shifting. I keep saying it, but it really is important, is that they just, boom, like that. Snap, we're going to do this.
Look, when you brand something, I don't care what the product is. What branding means is, as a consumer, I feel a connection to this product. This product represents me, and I want to be seen with this product. And this product reflects my values. So when you have a company, I don't care if it's Bud Light, I don't care if it's anybody, when they just do this like quick 180 all of a sudden, especially with something that is this volatile of a topic in our culture right now, it throws people off because they're like, that's not what I bought.
It'd be like if Dale Earnhardt Jr. suddenly started a lingerie line.
Or what?
It'd be like, what the?
Or what if Trader Joe's is like, you know, man, we think Hitler was a pretty cool dude, right? People are like, I don't know if I want to go to Trader
He's
Joe's
back to
anymore.
Hitler again.
No, I just got to go to the extreme. You got to God with this. I'm just saying, it was people felt betrayed, manipulated, whatever, and they didn't buy into it. That's not why they were drinking Bud Light. And
why not?
the
Why
whole
not add to the customer base? I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to like bring the trans into the customer base and they'll join who's already there, that would be one thing. But
Correct.
they completely alienated the current customer base and
And
said,
the
we don't
term
want you
inclusion-
anymore.
The term
Literally said that.
inclusion is abused anymore. It's really not inclusion. It's exclusion of everybody else. People are changing their items based on the what's cool now. And I don't know if it's cool or not cool, but what's getting eyes looking their way. I mean, for all we know, maybe they did this planning to change it the next day. That wouldn't surprise me.
But I think the thing is, I don't think Bud Light, to their defense, or Budweiser, I don't think they were planning this to be a nationwide advertising campaign. I think
Yeah, because it was just a TikTok like promotion.
Dylan Mulvaney was an influencer. It was a targeted thing, and looking into it, they target things through influencers all the time. I think where this got out of control, or where the Frankenstein monster got out, was Dylan Mulvaney is in the news herself anyway all the time, and is a huge self-promoter.
She's got like 1 billion follows on
The
TikTok
fact
or
is,
something.
Well, she met the president and sat down with the friggin'
And ate the
president of the
presidential
United States.
cookie.
but she promoted it. Look,
I bet he did.
No,
Budweiser-
she did. She actually got there's a cookie
Oh,
with a White House seal on it.
Well,
And there was a
Budweiser-
video about her eating the cookie.
Oh, okay, so just so you know, so are we all endorsing the fact that this person wants to be referred to as a woman? So
Well, we
refer
can
to her as
we can
she?
finish the first portion and then we can visit that.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Dylan.
But
We
what
got a
I'm
couple
saying
videos.
The Bud Light did not push this. Dylan Mulvaney has such a influence. She's such a big influencer. She pushed it, and then people were like, "What?" You know what I mean? That's what happened. It's not like they were advertising some TV from Bud Light being like, "Hey, we
Wasn't
love."
that the plan though? You can't involve an influencer and think, okay, nobody's ever gonna find out about
See
this.
Right.
Generally, the promotion stays within that influencer's base.
Yeah, I would
The
say
thing
like
with
Rogan. Rogan is probably the only one that, like, if he says take Alpha Brain, I bought Alpha Brain. Like, he actually inspired me to get something based on his. But I think mostly influencers are all about gags and.
But I'm saying
And-
Dylan Mulvaney was in the news regardless. So as soon as Dylan
Well,
Mulvaney
now.
did this, even before this,
Even more so, yeah.
and it blew
No.
up. I
don't mean that. I mean, like, Dylan Mulvaney became part of the. I mean, he was sort of celebrated publicly, and then I think his following grew. Like,
Yeah.
His
There's no
following
way-
is pretty freaking massive already. Like I said, I think Dylan Mulvaney's got like 1 billion views. It's like a
Well,
ridiculous
it's been
amount.
8 million followers.
Yes. Well, also, part of the reason why
Not
this
buying
mass
Bud Light.
boycott,
That's what I'm saying that
Sales
too,
went
Tom.
down. So sorry, go ahead, Jack.
No, I was going to say one of the reasons this boycott, was such a huge financial hit, and why so many people, you got to remember too, and the liberals hate this, but the conservatives have their own media too. Like, it's all online. I mean, you have like the Daily Wire, Steven Crowder, like these personalities also have millions of viewers, and they talk about this stuff regularly. So you had word getting out there about, hey, guess who Bud Light's got as a new sponsor? And then people are like, oh shit. So there were enough people involved that Budweiser visibly saw the hit that they took and felt it. So I think part of that is that there's a whole media of conservatives too, and this stuff is a major issue for people right now, which is, you know what I mean? Like, if you didn't object to this lifestyle whatsoever, would you care that the sponsor is transgender? I think a lot of people still have an issue with it, philosophically or ideologically. And maybe that's because they got the kids involved. I still think we talked about that on a past podcast. So I think people's ire is up.
So 3 things on this boycott issue. Yeah, so Bud Light said that the VP marketing said that they needed to do this campaign, I guess you could call it, because they were noticing that their following or their sales or their whatever was dwindling, and then that was followed by the comment of, we're known for this like fratty brand, we don't want to be that anymore. So it's like, but you're still like the number 1 beer, so how are you really seeing your following fall off? Like, where are these people going? I mean,
you know what?
There's people
seeing that fall off now.
Well, yeah, they are because people call it a publicity stunt. It could be that. Sometimes in media they say that if you really want to make a stink, then you got to have the opposing view, and then that's how you get popular. So I don't know. Maybe this really is a publicity stunt. I don't know.
I think you guys said it before.
In it. I've watched a few interviews with the lady that was in charge of it, and again, another word that is really just devastated in my psyche is inclusion. It's being used on a level of almost, okay, I said inclusion, now come at me. Like, if you say inclusion, man, whoever's going against whatever you're saying is suddenly anti whatever your thing is. If it's wearing green shorts when you go to gym class, oh, you don't like green shorts? Well, you're not including me in the, it's an abuse of language that is.
And I think the other thing too with Dylan Mulvaney specifically is people are like, oh, this is, for some people, Dylan Mulvaney is a transgender person. But for people like me, Dylan Mulvaney is a misogynist joker who puts on woman face and is completely disrespectful.
And only
before we go into that topic, I just want to say one thing. I don't know if they should have, if Bud Light, they wanted to go to this transgender route, I think they should have used like a trans man instead of a trans woman, to be honest, because if you're a trans woman, you are not drinking Bud Light.
And someone who is,
if you're a straight man, you're not drinking.
You're drinking Chardonnay. You're drinking vodka cranberries. You are not drinking Bud Light. Bud Light is not your drink of choice when you go to the bars.
Exactly. Who cares who's
but if you are a trans man, then maybe that is, because that's the culture.
That's the image you want. Right.
Well, that's the image you're trying to get, is to to fit in with the bros, be the bro code, whatever. So it's like maybe they really just,
it was very tenuous to begin with. I mean, like you said, it didn't taste that great, so there's not really a whole lot holding the customer to the product, except that image that they built up. So they destroyed it very easily.
Yeah, like Bud Light's, Michelob Ultra, Bud Light, they're all over the golf course. That's there's not a trans woman out there playing fucking golf with the bros. And I want to touch on actually like Dylan Mulvaney. Yeah, let's go into that.
Personally, I feel like they got this person that is like right on the cusp between, and if I'm wrong, fine, sue me. You'll get nothing. But if I'm wrong, then fine. But I feel like Dylan Mulvaney is in this weird limbo between insane and performer.
Yeah, he's a performer.
Quite often the two can be very mixed. I mean, there was a time where Robert Downey Jr., we thought he was batshit crazy, never going to go anywhere in the world, and he is the biggest star out there. So, I mean, insanity versus art, they often mix. But I sent some videos, and Dylan Mulvaney, for what it's worth, she drives me crazy with all the stuff that I see and all the over the top, like, this is what a woman is. I watched one video. I wish I could have found it to send you, but it was this one video, and she literally said, I cried 3 times
That was
today.
the first video.
That was day one.
Day one. She's
It was
like, I already cried 3 times today. I bought dresses that were too expensive, and I don't remember what the third thing
And
was.
it was like such negative tropes towards women. I'm so surprised that there are women that are supportive of this behavior at all, because it's also fucking diminishing to women. And Jack, you know where I worked? I worked with T-Flag, Human Rights Campaign Fund, NARAL, all kinds of women's organizations. I respect women. And this is so diminishing to everything.
It's like
that they have done.
It's like a step and fetch it routine.
It really is. It's Amos and Andy.
Yeah.
Only now it's Amelia and Andrina, whatever. It's so surreal and outside.
I just remember what the third thing was. She said that she told somebody that she was fine when she wasn't. That's what I think she said that.
Yeah, that's right. No, I just think Dylan Mulvaney, like, if you think about, transgenders that are in the public sphere, I mean, the other one that everybody, if they don't know, probably should know is the Assistant Secretary of Health, Rachel Levine, the 4-star admiral. What's so different about the two is Dylan Mulvaney, like, that one just plays it straight. Okay, Dylan Mulvaney is a performer. Like, he actually was a Broadway actor before
he was
all
in the Book of Mormon, I believe.
Yes, he was in the Book of
Really?
Mormon.
Yeah.
And so I think this probably started out as a goof on women, and then maybe it just evolved. Like, I don't know when his hormone therapy started, or I don't know when this guy really started the process. But every video clip I see of him, it's so over the top, like you said, that I think he really is a performer. I think this is an act, and it's resulted in a lot of money for this person. Like, I don't know, I don't know if it's a Caitlyn Jenner thing where that person literally went through the bottom surgery. Like, I mean, that was something, where they went all the way.
Got legitimacy now.
What's that, Zeus?
I said, say what you will, but before we were like, okay, Bruce Jenner, blah, blah, blah. And it was weird, and we didn't know how to take it. But this has given Caitlyn Jenner a great deal of legitimacy. At least they're fucking going hard in the paint.
Yeah, but also Caitlyn Jenner had the money to do so. I mean.
Yeah, but the commitment to it is what I'm talking about. Not so much
the commitment
whether
to
you can pay for the surgery or anything like that. The commitment to changing their sex was there. If you want it bad enough, you'll do it.
We don't know. That might be Dylan Mulvaney's situation too. I mean, like I said, it's been a year.
How long? Year. Yeah.
So I mean,
but the whole thing was
she's already got face surgery and hormone therapy. I mean,
but the fact that it was planned is this year, and Zeus and I and Desiree and I separately talked about this a little bit before the show, but. Look, I have no problem with Dylan Mulvaney as a person. I don't think
not really. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them if this is legit.
But I didn't know. This is the first I'm hearing that she was on Broadway. But it makes sense because what I said to Zeus and I said to Desiree is, I think she's an amazing performer. The camera likes her. She's goofy, zany, whatever. I mean, I think the fact that it's all tied into this whole culture war thing is, I think she's going to regret that. But the camera likes him, likes her, whatever. She's entertaining. I don't find it personally super entertaining or funny. I think it's kind of offensive in a lot of ways, but I get it. This is someone who is a performer. This person wants to be in front of the camera, and you can tell.
Yeah.
It's not the person we were talking about before, Levine, who's a politician. I think that's someone that had I just don't trust Dylan Mulvaney as having these like serious problems. I think
she's got serious mental
I don't
problems.
think she actually thinks she's I don't know. I just feel like I'm getting played.
Know what you mean? It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell.
Everything feels like the Matrix right now. Everything feels like whatever pill I got to take to not feel all this stress, I'll fucking take it.
But
Blue, red, purple, whatever.
It makes sense. I mean, it actually makes more sense if Dylan is a Broadway, like I see it, like that makes sense to me. Like I see it.
Right back.
You guys done
Like a role
mansplaining
that
everything?
she's playing.
Yeah. Thanks, Desiree.
Thanks, man.
So, to answer the question Zeus posed, like
Before he ran away.
Before I ran away. So I did kind of feel like this was a mockery of women, especially when she first started out her videos. Like, you're gonna talk about how you ordered over expensive dresses that you couldn't afford and you cried 3 times and then you told someone you were fine. I don't do that every day. That doesn't happen to me all the time. That's not what being a woman is. And so how many of those videos did you guys watch? A lot? 2 or 3?
Is this the same person that did the videos where they were like prancing through the woods a lot?
Yeah.
This is the same person. Okay.
Yes.
Those are the first ones I saw.
Yeah.
And there was no prancing through the woods, I don't think. There was
Yeah, I actually saw that clip. Yeah.
Was it like hiking in heels or some shit?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, which also, let me tell you what,
campy.
a bitch don't hike in heels. A bitch wears tennis shoes unless they're forced to hike and they were already wearing the heels. And then I'm going to be complaining the whole time. Like, there's no shoe choice that involves a heel when you're going hiking on purpose.
Yeah, he's pantomiming women. I think that's part of the storyline, is all he knows about women is this stuff. And now I'm going to, become a woman. You know what I mean? Like,
there was a video shit about running in heels. Like, there was like 3 or 4 different pairs of heels that she different kinds of heels that she put on Miranda. It's like, okay, well, being a woman is you're not running in heels, you're taking those bitches off. So we don't need to know what it's like to run in heels.
That's a huge part of it is the mimicry of the worst tropes about women.
Yeah. What if there's a trans man who was like smashing beer cans on his forehead and like doing all this and had a
putting up drywall, buying guns.
So what if take that into the same, so what if I was going to make a video series about 365 days of transitioning to a male? Okay. And I was saying like, okay, well, explain to me how to use a urinal
3 times today. Yeah.
Like very male specific things. Explain to me how to use a urinal. I don't know. What's some other fucking man shit? I don't know.
Zeus just said it.
I mean, would you feel comfortable?
I woke up and Desiree, I woke up and I already scratched my balls 3 times today. Or whatever.
Yeah. Tell me the best. Give me your best lotions for jacking off. I don't know. Like, those are very man things. Would you feel like that was mockery, or would you feel like that was genuine curiosity?
I would think it was hilarious.
I would think it was a joke. I would not take it seriously. Like I don't take Dylan Mulvaney seriously.
Correct. I'm with you, Mike.
I think that's where the problem lies, is that it has gotten to a point where somebody is taking this person seriously enough that they changed a marketing plan that was doing very well, because Bud Light tastes like shit. And they sell, I don't care what their numbers. I don't care what their numbers drop. They can't be as bad as they are now, first of all. They maintain the label, so obviously they're still in the black. You know what I mean? Like, they are taking this seriously, and that's the part that scares me.
It's going to have legs. This is not something that people are just going to get over.
I wasn't done.
She did the promotion for Nike bras.
Mm-hmm.
It's so ludicrous. The only one that makes sense is Oil of Olay, because she's putting on makeup. That I get.
It's like lotion.
Well, whatever, but at least it's not something that is so inherent or so gray and where it could be. It is, makeup on any level is inherently a female thing. So I can get that.
When you said they're taking it seriously, did you mean Budweiser?
Clearly.
No.
Are you kidding?
No.
They put her
taking it seriously because they didn't admit any mistake, and they didn't fire this ad exec. All they did was come back with a Clydesdale commercial and try to fool
which
everybody.
was probably filmed before anyway. Honestly, that's how shit works. It was probably
Nobody's
filmed before
going to
that
go
even
back
came
to
out.
Bud Light unless they come
Mark
out
my
and
words,
say
Tom.
we made a mistake.
That person will not be there a month from now because they're already on like a leave of absence.
How did she not get fired?
Maybe she didn't
Yeah,
get
she- I
fired.
think
$6
she
billion.
Tom, that would not be inclusive.
I don't care. It's
Well, that's
about
how the
the money.
works.
It's a business.
Mark
How
my
is she still working there?
She
She's
will
still collecting a
probably walk
paycheck.
away with a fat check.
No, they'll give her a severance, right?
Yeah, she'll leave and leave.
No, she should be fired with cause and just
lesson
let
is
go.
People don't.
Fired at will. Why is she still working there?
People don't.
I heard
I don't mean
I
fired
heard
at
she's
will with a
not.
gun. I mean
No,
fired.
I don't know.
Fired
I
at
heard
will
she's
is a
not.
term.
She was
Yeah,
a forced
Tom,
leave of
Tom.
absence.
Leave of absence.
Yeah, well, that's the polite way to say we fired her. I mean,
No,
I
she's
mean,
still working there.
I don't think so.
No,
Tom.
being on
Not-
leave doesn't mean you're
She's not-
fired,
Well, okay, but it doesn't mean you're in the office making decisions either.
but you're still getting your paycheck.
Yeah, I think she's still getting a paycheck.
That's
Okay.
fine, but she is
No,
not.
that's not fine.
She is
You know,
employed.
$6 billion. Why are you still working there?
But if you're a shareholder,
If
why-
you lost $6 billion for your company, would you still have a job?
I don't think she's going to have a job because the VP of Anheuser Busch is going to be taking
What are they
over
waiting
that
for?
position anyway.
Right,
That's
Desiree's
What are they waiting for?
They're waiting for the non.
They're waiting for the back so they don't have the backlash of, oh, we fired the person
Right.
outright that
It's
make
not
the
gonna go
train
away
that did the
until they
trains
fire
campaign.
her.
Yeah, well, also, I don't think that's the issue, Tom. I think the issue for the
I think it's
boycotters is what you said the first time. Firing her wouldn't be the point. They want the people that are boycotting want Budweiser to apologize, like you said. That's
It needs
the
to be
real
both.
reason.
It should be both things.
I don't think
They
people
admit the
care
mistake
who's
and
in
they need to
who's
fire
getting
this ad
paid.
exec.
I don't know. I don't think people care. As long as she's not making decisions, I don't think people care what her golden parachute is.
bigger than that. It's
What are they going to do?
the-
Move her to
bigger
you
goal.
know,
It's the
custodian?
management above her. That's
Yeah.
But look, here's the thing.
Mike, I can't hear you. Could you get closer to the mic?
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So the thing is that a lot of people forget is, the customer is king. And we saw an analog to this in a few years ago when people in the NFL were kneeling. Now, whatever you during the national anthem, whatever you feel about that topic is inconsequential. The fact is the marketplace did not like it. People stopped going to games. People weren't buying jerseys. And the NFL reacted to that because the people that support the NFL, the reason these people make a lot of money is because of the people that support the customers. So Bud Light, they forgot who their customer was and they pissed off the customer, and the customer has a vote. It's very egalitarian. It's very and there's no mystery to this. Like, you don't piss on the electric fence, right? Like, I mean, if you're branding yourself a certain way, and then you do something that goes completely is anathema to your client base, you're gonna pay a price, man. I mean, it's nothing complicated.
I think what Budweiser's doing or Anheuser Busch is doing, and it's smart on their behalf, is they're not reacting to the situation, they're responding to it. They're being assertive rather than aggressive. They're being weak,
dude. Like they should.
You know what? Let's be honest. That new commercial that came out is probably from 15 years ago. It's one they turned down for whatever reason, and it fit the.
It's a rerun of their greatest hits, basically.
Yeah.
It didn't change anything though, did it?
No, they're down almost 20%.
It didn't work.
For us, this group, this microcosm of people, of course not. We get it. But there's a lot of mouth breathers out there that are looking for keywords and Clydesdales
But
and
the
Broho.
sales didn't go back
They're
up.
fine.
That didn't work. No, it's
It's
not
only
that
been
easy, I don't
3
think. I
days,
think they
dude.
really stepped in it this time.
Mark my words,
Yeah.
Bud Light will do just fine 6 weeks from now.
I think it'll all be fine. I mean, look at Chick-fil-A. Remember when Chick-fil-A came out and was like, yeah, we don't support gay people or whatever they said. I don't know what it was, but something like that along the lines. And then people were boycotting Chick-fil-A and they're like, oh, we're not eating that gay chicken, or we're not eating whatever they said. I don't remember, but it was like something along
Christian
those lines.
chicken.
Dude,
We don't want to eat bigot chicken. I don't know what the fuck they said, but there was something like that. Something along those lines. And there are still people to this damn day that are like, I'm not eating Chick-fil-A because of it. I'm like, well, fucking guess what? Chick-fil-A has some goddamn good nuggets and some chicken and their waffle fries and their drive-through. It's like on
some
point.
Products, yeah.
You know, maybe they might be a little sketchy, but I'm still gonna eat their stuff because it's good.
But there was that guy that was trying to shoot up the Family Research Center or whatever in New England who bought like Chick-fil-A sandwiches and was going to leave them all the dead bodies. Remember this?
No.
No.
Yeah, he had gotten their name from the Southern Poverty Law Center.
It sounds like one of the funnier mass shootings that could have happened.
He was caught, and it was a big deal. And they actually sued the SPLC because the SPLC put them on this list. And my point is, Desiree, your point's perfect. So Chick-fil-A was branded a certain way. And they became like people were like, "Oh, that's the Christian chicken place that's not open on Sunday."
Yeah, damn it!
I'm not eating no heathen chicken.
Not eating it on Sundays, damn it.
K-chicken.
Wow,
that's hilarious.
Well, I couldn't remember exactly what it was. I said the wrong thing. Bigot chicken. I don't know. People that were supportive of the LGBTQ plus community were not going to be eating Chick-fil-A because Chick-fil-A did not come outright and say that they supported that community or whatever.
They've always been that way, though. They've always been super right wing. Like, aren't they closed on Sundays?
Yeah,
he just said that.
They are.
I'm sorry.
But like they never really said it, you know. They're just like, I mean, we'll like just don't ask, don't tell. We're not going to tell you. We're just going to be closed on Sundays and let y'all assume what we are. But it's kind of like Hobby Lobby. But
look, here's the thing: it's like no business is business, and people spend their money the way they want to spend it. And when these companies get in, they're like, you know what? We're going to short circuit the business model, and we're going to try to bring in this ideology into the equation. People just reject that. All people reject that on all sides of it. That's why there's certain people that won't go to Chick-fil-A because they feel like they're being preached to.
I just don't go because it's expensive.
I don't feel like I'm not being preached to. I feel like I get the best goddamn customer service.
There are
great
loyal out there that want to go to Chick-fil-A or Hobby Lobby.
A chicken sandwich costs like $18 there. Why would you eat there?
Also, everywhere else.
And there's people now that will never buy Bud Light for the rest of their lives because it's a Marxist communist beer that if you drink one, you're obviously like super progressive or whatever.
Okay, maybe
some products,
but I think that might be some forever. They've maybe lost some customers forever. But honestly, here in a couple months, there's gonna be those guys that are like, "Man, I've been drinking fucking Miller Lite for 2 months. Sucks." You know,
they're gonna be like,
I don't think so.
No, it doesn't.
It's like great that people need it.
With penis.
I mean, some products you can't, like Disney. I can't boycott Disney because they got Star Wars and Marvel.
Oh my God, Mandalorian!
I can't give up Star Wars and Marvel.
Yeah,
there's some products I can't give up. I mean, Bud Light. Who needs Bud Light?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
who needs Bud Light? Bud Light sucks.
Right.
They don't even have Blue Mounds on their cans.
They're in trouble if they don't do something.
That's the next shirt.
See, hey Tom, I'm almost boycotting Star Wars and Marvel, and I love them both, but it's really more to do with the quality of the movies. I mean, it's just not.
But you got to watch the series on Disney, man. They're killing it. So good.
Mandalorian and everything.
So good. Mandalorian
with the NFL, Mike. I mean, I can't give up the Cowboys.
You can't give up watching football.
I can give up the Cowboys.
I kind of did.
If Dylan Mulvaney came in and was like singing the national anthem, I'd still watch the game.
That's the next one. Watch.
So
Prediction alert. Prediction alert. Dylan Mulvaney is going to sing the national anthem at fucking something. Guaranteed.
Something.
He can sing.
The Roseanne Barr.
At something. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Mark my words. What's the date? It is 4/25 at 10:47. I fucking predicted it. Watch.
Okay. Well, when you went away for a second and then you came back and interrupted me what I was fucking talking about because I had a good point and mansplained the fuck out of the whole and changed like the whole subject and took the attention off of me because I'm a woman. Do you remember that just happened like 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, I remember that.
Thank you, Desiree.
Can I go back to that? Can I go back to what I was
like a Dylan Mulvaney impression right now?
I don't
No,
recall.
I'm saying that's the woman experience is always getting fucking interrupted by a man and getting mansplained to. It can never
Did you
make a
cry
point.
3 times today?
No.
Yeah, but wait,
There
that's
was not three Downy
Desiree.
commercials on.
Desiree, Zeus coming back from wherever he goes and then jumping in and doing what you just described. That's a regular segment on the show.
I know.
Yeah, quit getting all pissy about it.
I'm not.
No, I
pissed
mean,
about it. I'm just saying.
yeah, it's he's done it to all of us, so it's really not sexist in Zeus's defense.
Kind of my thing.
Okay. Well, can I go back to what I was talking about then? Is that okay
Please
with everyone? Okay. So yeah, at the beginning, Dylan Mulvaney's videos where I felt like there was a little bit of mockery. However, I'm not saying I watched 365 TikToks today,
Hope not.
but saying I watched a lot of TikToks today.
Watch about 240 of them.
Maybe. They don't tell you how many you'll watch that day, which I wish they would because it'd be interesting. Anyway, so I did watch a lot of her 360 the year of womanhood videos. Okay, a couple things I did notice during that whole thing. I think the biggest the change in her view of things was when she started with the whole tampon situation. So now I'm gonna come into defense for Dylan because number one,
what was the situation?
Well, she said that I am not a woman. I am a trans woman, which is not a woman.
Right.
I don't have a uterus. I do not menstruate. She did say that. So I feel like that's a great like thing that other people should be saying if they're trans. Like you're a trans woman or trans man. Like you are not this. You're not a woman. You're not a man. You're a trans man or you're a trans woman.
I got
because it is different. The experience is different. You might look like a woman, but you are not. You are not going to be given birth. You are not going to have a period. So anyway, she was getting attacked by because Tampax had sent her some tampons. I don't know. Because then all these people were saying, "Oh, people like you are why we have a tampon shortage. You're wasting them." Blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Really?
I mean, they sent her 2 boxes. I don't think that's causing a tampon shortage. But she was like, the reason that I carry them is this. Because she was in the bathroom, in the girl's bathroom, and some girl in the stall next to her was like, "Hey, you got a tampon." And she didn't have a tampon. So she was like, "No, I don't have a tampon." So then she started carrying some around just in case that experience happened to me again. I don't need them, but somebody else might. That's a situation that happens. All the time.
I saw was more like, "Hey, I bought these," and not going into any in depth about why. That actually is quite compassionate, empathetic. That I could get behind.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I like that. That's okay.
The problem with that whole scenario is this. That assumes that, like, if you think, okay, well, I sympathize with Dylan Mulvaney more and I believe in what he's saying because he brings tampons around in case a woman needs it, like that to me already like is preceded by the fact that it's okay for Dylan Mulvaney to be in the ladies' room with the lady in the next stall. So that he can pass her a tampon. And just me personally, I don't drink Bud Light. I was a Miller Lite guy. There's no boycott in my life other than maybe more than that. But I mean, like, I don't know. I just, that's the issue for people. Like, not that you're like, you can actually think there's something objectionable and wrong with a dude going into the ladies' room without hating an entire category of people. Like it's a nuanced issue. And so again, if this is the type of video this guy's showing, or this woman, whatever you want to say, I could see some people just being like, yeah, no, sorry, Bud Light. That's not really something I'm on board with, because you've equated it with something like that. Like that's one of the issues. It's a major elephant in the room.
I want less politics in my beer.
Listen, Zeus
Yeah.
has been going
Okay,
into
back to what
ladies'
I was saying.
Yeah, giving women tampons, and he gets abused. Like he gets arrested.
Like, here you go.
Thrown against the law. I mean, he's been doing that. He did this well before Dylan Mulvaney
Who?
did. Zeus. He's been going into the ladies' room, handing women tampons for 20 years.
Oh, I be handing condoms out at bars all the time. You know, you go to the bar and you get the fucking bowl of condoms. I
He's
just
like,
pass
you
them
don't
out.
need to breed. You don't need to breed. You don't need to breed. You don't need to breed.
But Jack, in all seriousness, your point is spot on. Absolutely.
So I'm just saying, like, the change that's where I saw the transition as for it was an act, almost mockery, to okay, now you're starting to see that you cannot just call yourself a woman and do all the things that you think women are, because there is a different experience
Sure,
that being a woman is than just putting a dress on and putting makeup on. And
that's where my
extra.
problem with Dylan.
yeah,
Like,
no, you're right.
And now,
You're right.
and then from that point, continuing to watch the videos, I mean,
Yeah.
like, there was a lot of stuff that you know, she kind of mentions and goes through, and she's like, oh, I didn't realize that this was an issue. I didn't realize that I didn't realize this or that, or, you know, and she said it, because I haven't lived my entire life as a man. I didn't realize this was an issue, but But like, so it's very, the thing about, so the point I want to make about this is this. So I kind of I think maybe it is a little bit validating in a way to the woman experience, because maybe it's showing, I mean, not in a huge way, but maybe it's kind of proving the point that being a woman is fucking hard. There's shit that, like, the men and woman experience is different. I'm not saying being a man's easy either, because there's some shit that no, thank you. But like,
we're not real popular right now.
Just saying I want to be a different gender is not, you can't just say that and be done with it. Like, there is a different, like, the experience is different.
Of course.
And I think that watching these videos, it's like, you know, I think it started out one way and it ended a total different way. Like at Day 365, she even said, she was like, at first I was enjoying my transition to womanhood. I'm not really enjoying it that much. She's like, this has been a very tough experience. And she comes out and she says it, and it's like, okay, well, you know, and she's still in it. Like, her hair looks fly, girl looks good. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, okay, so you're against the boycott, pro Dylan Mulvaney by the time you watched all these videos?
No,
Is that what you're getting at?
No,
her views are complex.
I have two very, you know, conflicting views, and so I really don't know how I feel about it. But I think, as you know, the transitioning viewpoint of this feels like a mockery on women, you know, maybe. But like,
gotcha.
through the span of it, you see the change. You see that she's starting to realize that there's a different experience, and you can't just say I'm one thing when I wasn't.
You know what she could do that would completely flip the script and maybe cause a little, like, societal inner peace, is if she did actually go, wow, this is not just like a spur of the moment, you should make this decision, just do it. Like, if she actually was like real about it, like, did any of those videos talk about the horrific things that you have to do to have a vagina when you're transitioned? It's not like
because
thing. It's like a years thing.
Well, she hasn't have it. Is it called what's the surgery?
Well, I know when it's female to male, it's called an addictomy, but
fuck, I forgot the name. I think it's a different name, like getting your penis turned into a vagina, than it is
it's called a vagioplasty or something.
No, vaginoplasty is different. Like, that's getting some.
Oh, that's like
different.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know the name for that specific surgery, but like, if you get a dick added, it's a phalloplasty, but that's not the same if it's sliced.
I got you.
A phalloplasty.
Oh, stop.
Anyway, no, because
wait. Mike has a valid point. Can you have a phalloplasty if you're already a man? Because I could use little
you can
extra help there.
Yeah, they do that. I've heard that.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I'm saying she has not done that because that hasn't been her experience. She hasn't got that surgery. So she did get face surgery, and she started taking the hormones. So
well, right. I think
document some of that.
You know,
I think that actually most transgender male to females, like the majority, don't go all the way like Caitlyn Jenner did. I mean, I remember hearing that, when
I've had more than one patient that was mid what do they call it? Mid transition. We'll just call it mid transition, where they had everything else, but they kept the,
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, like, man, I think that's a hard one to do. Removing a part of your body, because they're not going to keep it.
Jesus, where do we go?
I think that they get to that point. They're like, I like these, but I'm not ready
for that one.
Yeah,
So then back to the Bud Light thing was weird for me, because like the campaign was like, she was talking about the beer, and then she was talking about the sport, but then she was like doing the whole like the mockery thing, but I don't even really know what sport it was. Blah, blah, blah. It's fucking basketball, you idiot.
And the funny thing is,
all girls know that shit. Like,
the funny thing about it is, in the Price is Right clip, she's playing the basketball thing. At one point, she shoots the ball over the hoop. She knows what basketball. If she's a performer, fucking spot on.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's like that makes if
for real. She is very imbalanced.
Well, that's because I think that those over the top and real extra videos are the ones that are being, if you, like I said, I don't watch 365 TikToks a day, but I watched a lot of TikToks a day. And like, when you watch them all, like, you can see like there's videos that are definitely supposed to be over the top, and then there's videos that are vulnerable, and then there's just like everyday shit videos. Like, this is what about it 30 days a day.
Hormone therapy could do that, so I get that. That's fine. I think if we show any video, maybe we show it at the end of this one. We got to show The Price is Right, because that was when Dylan Mulvaney was
a dude.
Not The Price is Right. No,
yeah.
This is.
Yeah, he was a guy.
What's that?
I said, yeah, that's before he transitioned.
And he was just a flamboyant gay guy.
It's more about behaviors in it, like flopping. No, they flop on the ground.
Yeah,
like
but
it's like it's even beyond flamboyant. It's like over the top.
Clownish.
I'm not even like putting a sexual or gender orientation to it. It's just
extra
bizarre behavior.
Like an actor, like an actor in LA.
I don't know, man. This goes beyond that. This isn't like Britney Spears smashing out a window with her shaved head and an umbrella. This is like drops on the floor at least kind of deal. 3 times.
No, it was look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. That's what it was, and that's what it is now. It's the same. I mean, this person is just dressing like a woman now, and maybe going through this really. Maybe he always wanted to be a woman, and he's one of these people. I mean, but it's so trendy now that I wonder if this is like a goof. Like, I don't know how much gender. I don't know how much.
It feels like that.
It feels like a goof.
So now
it feels a little bit like a goof.
Now, she has after the Bud Light thing happened, I guess Nike was like, well, we want to get boycotted too. So they gave her a sponsorship for sports bras. Those are for tits. Yeah.
Mulvaney is very flat chested.
I don't.
Yeah.
There's like nothing there.
Yeah, even there's hormone therapy involved, and so she's got like mosquito bites. Training bra size.
Well, wait a minute. As far as the Nike thing goes, Nike is not shy about siding with the leftist ideology. I mean, they gave an endorsement deal to Colin Kaepernick when people were boycotting football. I mean, like they don't care. They'll take the hit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they just want to be
That's
part
true,
of that ESG.
I guess there's like a people are burning their sports bras and shit. But my whole thing is like, again with the tampons, you put that on for a reason. It's to hold your boobs tight so they don't flop around when you're working out. Like, if you don't have tits, what is the point? Like, I don't know.
Mike had to bail.
Yeah, Mike had to bail, and also we've been on for a while
Well,
now.
hold on. I do want to. This is the last point. So remember when all the other beer companies at some point, like during Pride or whatever, like there's a Pride at Bud Light was at Pride. They had merchandise that was branded. Every other beer company has done some type of a Pride can with a rainbow on it, or
is that
so
true?
what? Yeah, it is
Yeah,
true.
I missed that. I wasn't even aware of that one.
Oh,
I'm
well, that's
so-
like I'm not
so
saying right
very-
now. I'm saying through life. Oh, sorry.
I'm
I
like
don't know
so
about
very
that.
fine with
Yeah,
that.
look it up.
That one
like,
got
so-
under the radar though.
Well, so then why? What's and I'm not
Yeah.
siding with the community that doesn't want to boycott. I'm just saying, what was so different from all those just Pride cans versus like?
Well, here's the difference.
Well,
I think
yeah.
the difference is there's a face to it. That's all.
No.
Oh, no
Maybe the
way. It's not
timing.
just that.
Here's the difference: is Clinton lifted the question from the military 30 years ago. 30? Is it 30? Roughly 30 years ago. And we're just now to a place where I would say that gays and lesbians they're like a non, and I don't mean this in a diminishing capacity. They're a non-issue. You're gay, cool. You're a lesbian, cool. The problem is that took like 30 years to get to this point where like we're great. And with this whole non-binary, binary transition, gender this, gender that, it, they, who, she, whatever. All this stuff has happened in like the last 3 years. And I know that it was trickling in, but it is not a paradigm shift. It is it's a flash in the pan, and it could cause, like Dr. Anand said earlier, it could be a great source of detriment to straight and gay and lesbian communities because it's throwing up this whole confusion that was not there before. And again, I don't want to diminish people that want to change their sex. I have met enough patients where it was clear. I've said in so many words, I completely get it. I think you should be a girl or you should be a guy. And I get it. Like they were clearly intended to do what they're doing, and they're committed to it, and they've thought about it.
Yeah, but Zeus, I'm with you totally. If somebody wants to make the choice to dress up as the opposite sex and to act in some way what they think is feminine, like go for it. You're an adult. It's okay. But once you get the kids involved, and another thing that I wanted to ask the doctor before he took off, I just wanted to ask him a flat out question. Are there potential dangers to injecting hormones into your body, which we know there are because we all followed baseball like years ago with Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. We know what testosterone can do to your body. What does it do to the female body? What does estrogen do?
Let me tell you, estrogen or testosterone.
Well, no, go either way. Go both ways. What does estrogen do to a male?
Hey, that's what we've been talking about all night, Jack.
Nice. I got it, Zeus. I got it. That's good stuff.
So, if you're a woman and you take testosterone, it can stop. I mean, it just stops the process. It ruins your uterus. It makes you stop ovulating. It does those things, and it can cause it to do it permanently.
Yeah.
That's the detriment. I mean,
and if a man takes estrogen, it shrinks I think actually both testosterone or estrogen, it shrinks their testicles. It causes
they're trying to do that.
Gynecomastia. Is that the right term, Des?
Gynecomastia?
Yeah. It causes them to form breasts. These are things that you can't easily.
Yeah, I'm not talking about desired effects because if you're a guy,
what I'm saying is, if you start down the road, you're on the road. You can't. It's not a turnaround kind of.
If your bones haven't fully grown, any type of hormone, testosterone or estrogen, can stunt your bone growth development. Your frontal lobe is not developed until you're 25. There's some detriment in there for the hormones that are unbalanced. I mean, there is detriment to it.
And honestly, Desiree, from our medical standpoint, We're very early in
See you, Mike.
The research. See, Mike. The research is very young. Like, yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of journals on it, but they're so infantile in the knowledge that they provide. I'm sure their intent is good and all that, and they're trying to be optimistic or pessimistic depending on their view. But at the end of the day, this is very new. It's just too new for us to know what 2 generations from now. Let's say a guy starts a sex change and then changes his mind, gets somebody pregnant, or probably the other way around would be better. But let's say somebody gets pregnant and they didn't go through a full transition. We don't know what effect that could have later on. So
we also don't know
what's have any effect unless they continue to take the hormones. Go ahead, Jack.
No, I was going to say we also don't know what it's going to do to adults down the line. Just going through all these gender treatments that go through your life. I mean, we don't know what that's going to do to these people because it's been a very, very small fraction of the population up until now.
I mean, think about it. They say that birth control pills, okay, which I mean, or any form of birth control, a hormonal birth control, they're out there saying that it causes early onset osteoporosis and increases your risk for breast cancer.
Right.
Is that true?
They could get ovarian cancer. Get it?
What?
I said they could get ovarian cancer.
Ovarian cancer?
No,
it wasn't a funny joke.
You don't get jokes.
Yeah, I don't. I'm gonna. I think we've been on for a while because it's late.
Yeah, we're getting bad jokes.
No, Mike already left the building, so I think it's time we wrap things up.
Absolutely.
All right, later, guys.
Bye.
So, I kept hearing about this thing called March Madness, and I thought we were all just having a hectic month, but it turns out it has something to do with sports. And I'm not sure exactly which sport, but either way, it's a cause to celebrate. This month I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it. Check out my Instagram story to see how you can enjoy March Madness with Bud Light and maybe win some money too. Go team! Whatever team you love, I love too.